Thank you to our sponsors, Prairie and Full Pod 2022, Farmers Mutual of Nebraska, North Dakota Soybean Council, North Dakota Corn Council, Minnesota Soybean, and Geringhoff.
This week, we begin taking a look at how the corn and soybean crop is looking around the region. For our first Ag Week corn and soybean tour stop of 2022, I traveled to Wyoming, North Dakota to check out the corn.
Right around the Wyoming area, things look pretty good considering what we've been through this year.
Carson Klosterman farms soybeans, sugar beets, and corn in Wyoming, North Dakota. Despite the late start to planting the corn crop, he is happy with the way his corn acres are looking.
We've seen it all this year, from late start with cool weather, wet snow, to big rain in May, which affected the earlier planting stuff from some ponding, and some replant took place.
Klosterman had multiple fields that suffered from ponding and had to replant some of his crop. But he says the crop has bounced back due to the amount of growing degree days this summer and is on track for a typical harvest date.
And now here we are, the middle of August. The grain is filling, and we could use some nice rains to help just fill all the crops.
Klosterman said the weeds were persistent in his corn crop this year, along with pests that may be a problem for him next year too.
Rootworm beetles and such next year might be a little interesting with the overwintering insects for corn.
Despite that, Klosterman is hopeful that a good harvest with a decent yield is achievable.
I guess I'll shoot low in hopes that we exceed that. Not looking at some cobs out in the field. One guy likes to joke, everything's been under 300 so far. But it'll be an okay crop. I'm 150, 175.
Mikkel Pates here on the Ag Week Corn and Soybean Tour. Today I'm with Brett McGilvery near Dolan, South Dakota. We're focusing on soybeans here. What did it look like for the soybean producer here?
The biggest challenge for pretty much the whole Northeast region was too wet and late planting.
Yeah, so your guys, maybe in this field here that we're looking at south of Dolan, would have been planted when?
Normally we would be the first week or 10 days of May, but a lot of these fields would have not went until late May or early June.
How has that affected their production, and especially as the moisture has come this year? What's happened with your soybeans here?
Well, so far it hasn't affected it because we have a longer growing season here because we're in the James Valley, but it will probably definitely affect number of pods, amount of flowers.
Mm-hmm. And so what do you expect in terms of yield, as 10 being the best? What do you expect for yields, and where do you think you're at?
We're at right now could be a 7, but we're at the brink of really needing moisture. So it could go down from there or up. But
you think you're maybe getting a little behind for this time?
We're definitely getting behind for this time of year. Right now, our biggest concern with what's left is insects. And there's not been a big issue, but that's what we're concerned about from this point on.
What insects are you usually dealing the most with here?
In this area, it'd be mostly bean leaf beetles and grasshoppers. There's times that this is a spider mite area, but we've been wet enough and humid enough that that's not a condition this year.
Thanks, Brett, for talking to us. For Ag Week's Corn and Soybean Tour, this is Mikkel Pates.
Thanks for watching Ag Week TV on YouTube. Make sure to like and subscribe. We put out new videos every Saturday.